Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. We're another week closer to kickoff. The Friday night opener on September 4th is nearing. 2.5 weeks until Purdue gets going against Indiana State to open a new season. Today, the countdown to kickoff continues as we talk about Purdue's defense. Kevin Kane returns as the defensive coordinator, and a combination of returnees and transfer portal additions will look to vastly improve this defensive unit. Let's go ahead and dive on in. If you don't already, be sure, follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. Come join the conversation, talking all things Purdue football, Purdue basketball, everything. Come join the conversation. Be sure, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, like the show, give it a positive review, share it with a Boilermaker friend of yours, and you can always send in questions. Do so on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. Email the show, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. I wanted to start off with a little bit of news out of fall camp, and as you all are aware, generally, news out of fall camp is negative. There has been a little bit of that out of West Lafayette already. A couple of players are out for the year. Tight end Kylan Fox, defensive back Radarion Daniels. Kylan Fox is the big one here. This is a pretty substantial loss. Kylan Fox was a transfer portal addition from UCF, from Central Florida. He was expected to be Purdue's number 2 tight end this year, behind George Burhan. He has 3 years of eligibility left, so now he'll have 2 more. But a bigger, athletic frame tight end, someone who could help in the pass game and the blocking game. Purdue seemed to like what it had in him. That's a pretty big loss. The tight end position gets really thin now. George Burhan's really intriguing. George Burhan might be the most talented player on Purdue's roster, but he has really struggled with injuries. You'll remember 2023, he breaks through, has a big game against Indiana, then is never able to catch on in 2024 due to injuries, gets hurt in the spring last year, and then 4 games into the year, he got hurt again, missed the rest of the season. Now he's back. He's one of the more intriguing pieces you have, but the tight end depth gets real thin. Luca Puccinelli, more of the blocking type. Armani Towns is a true freshman, a guy that I'm really interested to see. I love what he has to offer, but again, playing tight end in the Big Ten as a freshman, true freshman, a big jump. Radarion Daniels, true freshman, wasn't expected to play much of a role this season, but it's always a tough break when guys weren't going to play a ton as freshmen and they don't get that year to develop. Instead, they're just sitting there. That's never ideal. So we will see what comes of that from Purdue and from an injury perspective. The only other thing is that Joey Tenona is injured. Barry Odom talked about this earlier today. He is expected to return for game week against Indiana State. He's Purdue's left tackle, returning starter there. He sprained his ankle and is missing some time. He is expected to be good to go for the season. Those can be tricky. Those aren't always as instant heal as you want them to be, so I will be keeping an eye on that. Purdue needs Joey Tenona in there. You would love to have him get some good reps against Indiana State so that he's not going out there for his first reps of the season against Wake Forest, but that's about it. So far, it's been good enough out of Purdue camp. Before we get into the Purdue defense, I want to tell you about someone who I know and I trust. That's myself. If you've been putting off reviewing your insurance, now is the time. Get a quote from me, Jordan Jones with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Whether it's your home, auto, life, or business coverage, I'll take the time to understand what you need and make sure you're properly protected. No pressure, no obligation. Let's see if you can get the right coverage at a competitive price. Give me a call or reach out today at 317-846-5861 for a free quote. Be sure to mention that you heard about it right here on the podcast. Now let's get into Purdue's defense, where the storyline, yes, it's the return of Kevin Kane. Barry Odom brought back Kevin Kane, who was the defensive coordinator for Ryan Walters' 2 seasons at Purdue. A couple of things are true here. Number one, this was not a hire that was a win the press conference sort of hire or a rally the fan base sort of decision. I don't know if there was a name out there that would have made sense that Purdue would have hired that would have had the fan base buzzing. Just as bluntly as possible, it's been a rough few years for Purdue fans. I don't think that any defensive coordinator hire was going to get people all jazzed up when I think the fan base has embraced, hey, I want to see this. You got to show me, which I completely understand. The Mike Shear departure was quick. It was quiet. And I remember exactly where I was in my kitchen when I got the text from Tom Dienhart that Purdue was going to be hiring Kevin Kane. So, that was a decision that certainly the fan base wasn't excited about. I don't know what type of candidate pool Barry Odom was working with, but he clearly made this decision eyes wide open, knowing how the fan base would be skeptical at best of this. That's completely fair. The other thing that is worth pointing out here and is very notable, Kevin Kane did not have a whole lot of say over the defenses when he was at Purdue with Ryan Walters. The Purdue staff hasn't explicitly said it, but back in some interviews and press conferences back in the winter, Barry Odom was pretty blunt that, he didn't really take a whole lot from Kevin Kane's 2 years in West Lafayette, that it wasn't really his defense. A lot of the issue there is, everyone's aware, Purdue was trying to run this ultra-aggressive press man, 5 down, Dylan Thieneman playing in Benton County type of defense that it just didn't have the personnel to do. It didn't have the corners. It didn't have the pass rush. The linebacker lack of speed was a really big deal that Purdue couldn't overcome. That was the problem. It wasn't Kevin Kane necessarily, but Purdue didn't have a good defense last year. Purdue struggled. It was one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten. Replacing Mike Shear with Kevin Kane doesn't exactly generate a whole lot of buzz. You're going to see something that looks like a base 4-2-5 scheme. That's the way the sport is transformed. That's about all you see anymore. You pretty much always have to have 5 defensive backs on the field with the amount of 3 or 4 wide receiver sets that offenses run. With so many teams in 11 personnel a lot, you'll get some teams running 12, even flirting with 13 personnel at times, but it's a lot of 11 personnel. And you're going to see 5 defensive backs on the field quite a bit. It all starts in the trenches, where Purdue has a mix of returnees and transfers. I was really high on TJ Lindsey last season before he got injured against Southern Cal in the 3rd game. He's a big 300-plus pounder on the interior, transferred in from Auburn, made an impact early in those first 2.5 games. Then he missed the rest of the year. Ian Jeffries broke through as the season went along, sliding in to the spot where TJ Lindsey was. Those two are your returnees here. They're a little duo that you got to feel decent about. You add in Kurt Neal as well. He's a Big Ten veteran. He's played at Wisconsin, played at Illinois, has 21 starts under his belt between those two schools. He's going to be your more experienced guy. You like what you have in those three. That's not a lot of depth. I am not sure what the depth looks like behind those three. It's tough to really just play three guys on the defensive interior. We'll see who breaks through because someone will. But I do think if they can stay healthy, that is a solid top three for you. As you kick it outside, the edge position, to me, is the make or break position group on this Purdue's defense this year. It's 2026. You have to be able to impact the passer. And Purdue will face some solid quarterbacks this year. I don't know that Purdue faces a murderer's row of quarterbacks, but you look at guys like Nico Iamaleava, CJ Carr, Drake Lindsey, DeMond Williams, Josh Hoover. You can't let guys sit back and pick you apart all day. You have to be able to get to the passer. CJ Nunnally was the guy who did that last year. He's gone. Purdue finished 12th in the Big Ten, 24 sacks. Okay, but it wasn't good enough. Purdue didn't get enough pressure on opposing quarterbacks last year. Purdue was last in the league in pass defense. A great way to improve in pass defense is to get better at rushing the passer. It's simple, but it's very true. Elo Mendoza is the big name that Purdue brought in. He was a major name in the transfer portal 2 years ago, 2 cycles ago, ahead of last season when he left Army and wound up at Georgia. He was an all-conference guy at Army, but he never cracked through and really became a key guy on Georgia's defense. And I'll be fair here, Georgia's pass rush was its weak point last year. It was not a great Georgia pass rush. That was a storyline all season. Purdue needs him to break through badly. Purdue needs him to be an impact guy, see if he can be a little bit more like the player he was at Army. Purdue has C.J. Madden and Trey Smith both returning. Each of those guys are in their 3rd year with the program. There's not a ton of production between the two from a sacks perspective, but you do hope that there can be some internal improvement made. That now, 3rd year at Purdue, both played last year, that they can take a step forward. Breon Ishmael got into the rotation last year as well, a Michigan transfer. He's back. Barry Odom said some nice things about him from the closed scrimmage on Saturday. Keyshawn Burgos comes in from Virginia Tech. He's played a lot of football, has mixed in some production. As you look at this room as a whole, it has to be considered a question mark until proven otherwise. There's got to be internal improvement year over year because when you just look at the raw production numbers, they're not great. Elo Mendoza's your best guy, and on that production came at Army. That's a lower level. But you got to hope that some of these guys can take a step forward. That Kevin Kane's defense, which is aggressive by nature, can help unlock these guys a little bit. This is a question mark. You move back to the linebacker position where Charles Correa returns as the leader of the defense. He's your green dot calling the plays on defense. He was honorable mention all Big Ten last year. 96 total tackles, 7.5 for a loss, 3 sacks. He's your middle linebacker. He's going to lead the way. He is a vocal leader. Purdue took him to Big Ten Media Days. Anytime a program takes someone to Media Days, it tells you what you need to know about how they feel about the kid. Generally, coaches won't take someone to Media Days that they don't love, and Purdue took Charles Correa to Media Days. He's got to be more efficient. He was not a great tackler last year. Too many missed tackles, and the sideline-to-sideline quickness was an area where Purdue got exposed, both with he and Manny Powell. Purdue did not have a great linebacker room last year from a speed perspective. You'd love to see if Correa could have gotten a little bit quicker year over year to get to some more plays. JoJo Hayden, Illinois transfer. He joins Purdue's crew of guys out of East St. Louis High School. Big, 6'2", 245, 2 years of eligibility left for him. Played a solid amount for Illinois last year. Again, a thumper, more of that traditional old school linebacker. And then Anthony Specca comes in from Penn State. He never really broke through. That was a really talented defense over the last 2 seasons, but Specca never quite broke through. Former 4-star recruit out of Pittsburgh. Those 3 are the ones I think you look at as the ones you're counting on. Again, in a 4-2-5, unless you're in a goal line or like a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situation, I don't know how much you'll see 3 linebackers on the field at once. You just don't see that as much anymore. But I do think, you like what you have in those guys. I worry a little bit about the quickness. I worry that Purdue doesn't have enough of it there. That the lateral speed, sideline to sideline, could be an issue. We'll see. Trey Moore is the other name I wanted to point out. He makes the massive jump from FCS to the Big Ten. He comes from San Diego. That's a non-scholarship program in the Pioneer League. Yes, believe it or not, San Diego is in the same football conference as Butler and Valparaiso. The more you know. But this is a very big leap in competition. He was an all-conference guy in the Pioneer League. It's really hard to know what to make of a player like this. I think back a couple of years to Jaire Ojada, who came in from Franklin College for a year, was an edge rusher on that 2024 team. It's a big jump. We'll see if Trey Moore is able to break into this rotation. Purdue was 16th in the Big Ten in rushing defense last year. Losing Monty Powell, you don't love. He was a good player for you. He's hanging out in an NFL camp right now, playing in the preseason. I think Purdue would have liked to keep Alex Sanford. He departed to the transfer portal. I'm looking up. I can't remember where he even ended up. This is great podcasting right here. Pitt. He's at Pitt. There you go. I think there is some upside if that top group can clean up the missed tackles. We'll see, though, if the speed is an area that's good enough to not be exploited. And then the secondary, in the back end, I think if you want to call that the strength of the defense on paper coming into the season, that's pretty fair. That's fair to do. It starts with 2 guys that Purdue was able to retain, Smiley Bradford, Hudari Hines. Each of those guys saw action from day one as true freshmen in 2024, and they have some real experience under their belts now. Smiley Bradford's at that nickel spot. Hudari Hines on the outside at corner. Neither of them has emerged as like that true stud yet, but they do have some good experience now to where, again, we talk about internal improvement. You would like to see them step up and really be quality players, be quality Big Ten level defensive backs on this roster. Aside from those 2, there are a lot of transfers. And at least for me right now, I haven't been at practice every day, so, I'm not sure what all the rotations look like, but there are a lot of transfers with not a ton of separation. Purdue prioritized size in the defensive backfield. When it hit the portal this year, it very clearly wanted to get bigger in the defensive backfield. Charles Clark, defensive backs coach, made it clear during media availability that was Purdue's goal. Don Saunders is where I start. I think he's a fascinating transfer from Utah. 6'4", corner, started his career at Cal Poly, then played a little bit, sparingly, at Texas A&M and Utah. Now it's his time. This is his last year of eligibility. It's time for him to go make something of his career and finish his college football career with a bang. Heard a lot of good things about him. You've heard a lot of good things about him so far. Mr. Clark, first team all-name guy. His name's Mr. Clark from Opelika, Florida. He looks primed to play a big role at corner. First team all-CUSA last year at Florida International. Burst onto the scene. Had a really good year. Really good season there. I'd expect to see him quite a bit. Justin Denson played at Michigan State a little bit over the last 2 years. Have heard some good things about him at the corner spot. Ryan Turner, Trey Wright, each of those guys got in the mix a little bit last year. When you look at the safety position, John Slaughter and Jaden Mangum are a couple of veterans at safety that transferred in. Jaden Mangum is a funny one. He was an honorable mention all Big Ten guy at Michigan State back in 2023, and then he went viral. He transferred from Michigan State to Michigan, and when he graduated from Michigan State, his graduation cap was the design of his Michigan jersey in maize and blue. So that got viral. But he had a solid season on a good Michigan defense last year. I'd expect to see him. And then John Slaughter, a couple of years at Tennessee, did the whole Coach Prime soap opera in Boulder last year. He did as well as you could hope in a rotational role on a bad defense. See if he can step up and that you can get some good production out of the safety position this year. Purdue also adds a couple of JUCO All-Americans, Dax Knowles and Tavari Hampton. There is no bigger unknown in college football than a junior college transfer. Even if they're a junior college All-American, you got no clue what you're getting in JUCO guys generally. If those can turn into hits, though, man, there's some unknown. There's some unknown in terms of pure on-field production, but there is reason to be optimistic about this group. There's plenty to like about this group, and if you asked me, coming into the season, pre-flop, before you see what you're working with here, I would say this looks like the best group on Purdue's defense. So overall, Purdue was 17th in total defense in the Big Ten last year, tied for 16th in scoring defense. Purdue only intercepted 4 passes. That was the worst in the conference. Forced 6 fumbles. I mean, not great. Third down defense was 16th in the league. To a certain degree, there's only one way to go here, and that's up. The main objective is to create havoc and create pressure. When Purdue's defenses have been at their best, that's what Purdue has done. It's the den of defensive ends. It's being able to get after the quarterback and make things interesting. If you're just going to go mano-a-mano from a physical size and strength standpoint, you're probably not going to do great. Purdue has never been the overall talent profile champion in the Big Ten, and that's not going to start now. But can you get after the passer and make some things happen? Make the quarterback make tough throws, pick off some passes, force some fumbles. A big thing for the defense is, I said, there are some good quarterbacks on this schedule. There are a lot of them, though, that need to take the next step or that are a little bit unproven. Guys like Gio Lopez at Wake. Caden Hauser at Illinois is making a jump up. Rocco Becht is making a jump up. Malik Washington, Rocco Becht, Colton Joseph, Drake Lindsay, guys that you like, but that aren't proven all-everything guys yet. It's got to be better. Purdue has to be able to hold teams. Half of Purdue's opponents, 6 of the 12, scored 30-plus against Purdue last year. That's not great. That's got to be better. When you look at how success is measured, it's holding teams under 30, holding teams under 40. You can't be giving up 49 to Washington. 56 to Indiana, 56 to Notre Dame. That can't happen. So it's going to be interesting. This is a group that I do think can be better. I don't think the Kevin Kane hire is as much of a disaster as, some fans make it seem, and I understand it. This isn't a hire that was going to win the press conference. But what it can be is a hire that brings some pressure in there, that gets Purdue making some plays on defense, and ultimately helps Purdue be better and start to build a little bit of something on the defensive side of the ball. Next week, we talk about the offense. We'll talk about Ryan Brown. We'll talk about what Purdue has done to get better around him. Send me over your questions. Do it on Twitter at BoilersBeyond. Email the show, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. Subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Until next week, guys, take care.